She missed the exam, but his brutal punishment left her breathless at 3 a.m. The clock ticked ominously in the stillness of the night, each second a reminder of her reckless decision. Lily's heart raced, pounding against her ribcage like a trapped bird. What lay ahead was a vortex of chaos and dark revelations. She had missed the exam, yes, but it was more than just an academic blunder. It was a breach that stirred a sleeping monster. It felt as if the atmosphere around her thickened, a heaviness that stifled her breath, leaving her gasping for air. Every student at Crestwood High whispered about Mr. Trent, the shadowy figure who loomed over the school like a thundercloud ready to unleash its fury. He was notorious for his brutal corrections, his eyes burning with a predatory glint when the rule book had been broken. When she had first heard the tale of the unfortunate student who had faced Trent's wrath, a chill snaked down her spine. They said his punishments were not just disciplinary, they were punishment in the truest sense, a twisted blend of fear and fascination that left everyone wondering about the fine line between justice and revenge. Tonight, that line blurred. As the clock struck 3, an eerie rustling echoed from the darkness. It felt like a breath, heavy and slow, creeping towards her. Was someone else up at this hour, or was it just her imagination, spiraling out of control? She fumbled for her phone, its screen a sliver of light cutting through the murky shadows. Was it even worth checking? What could help her now? In a split second, uncertainty unleashed a wild storm in her chest, her palms trembling slightly as they brushed against the cool surface of her desk. A flicker of movement at her window caught her eye. Her heart lurched, eyes widening. Could it be? She leaned closer, breath hitching. There, standing in the moonlight, was Mr. Trent. The dim glow transformed his face into something almost ghostly, eyes gleaming like sharpened diamonds. What was he doing here? The whispers turned into shouts in her head, urging her to run, to hide. Yet, in the feverish atmosphere, one undeniable thought clawed at her. She had no choice but to face him. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As Lily stood frozen, Trent's gaze met hers through the window, and for a moment, time stood still. Shadows danced around him, whispering secrets she couldn't quite understand. His lips curled into an unfathomable smile, and dread unfurled in her stomach. How did he know? The air crackled with an eerie tension, a palpable fear that clung to her skin. Were there consequences, she wondered, deeper than simple grades? Her heart raced as it dawned on her. She hadn't just missed an exam. She had stepped into a nightmare. What was about to unfold in that echoing silence, and could she survive it? The moonlight bathed Mr. Trent in a ghostly haze, a twisted halo framing his intimidating figure. Lily's instincts screamed at her to push back against the wall, to escape this looming horror, but her feet were rooted to the ground. With every passing second, Mr. Trent's smile widened, transforming his face into a mask of mockery. It was as if he relished the fear bubbling within her, savoring it like a fine wine. Lily, he called, his voice smooth and low, slithering through the space between them. You've been a very naughty girl, haven't you? The words slithered through her mind, wrapping around her like coils of a serpent. She swallowed hard, the lump in her throat lodged heavy and painful. The truth was inescapable. She had failed to follow the unspoken rules, and now the price loomed ominously before her. She opened her mouth to speak, to defend herself, but nothing came out. Missing exams is one thing, but making a habit of it? Well, that is simply unacceptable. He stepped closer, each footfall deliberate, the distance between them evaporating in the cool night air. Do you know what happens to students like you? Students who think they can play by their own rules. Panic surged through Lily, threatening to choke her. What did he want? Was this the moment when he would expose her failure to the world? The thought twisted her stomach into knots. She shook her head, desperate for an escape from the web of fate he was spinning around her. Suddenly, a soft thud broke the suffocating silence. A noise from the ground outside pulled Mr. Trent's attention momentarily away from her. Lily seized that fraction of an opening, scrabbling away from the window, but he pivoted back with feral speed, eyes locking onto her with unsettling intensity. "Where do you think you're going?" he hissed, and the playful tone was replaced with the sharp edge of steel. A vine of terror rooted itself deep within her, immobilizing her further. What if he decided to escalate his punishment? Echoes of tortured stories from her classmates coursed through her mind. They sank their claws into her, dragging her to the very edges of a nightmare she dared not confront. Please, the word slipped from her lips, desperation taking hold. "I'm sorry. I'll do better, just give me another chance." Trent smiled again, but it was not the smile of a merciful mentor. No, this was the smile of a predator. "You think apologies can absolve you?" "No, Lily. You need to understand the weight of your choices. Tonight is about more than just an exam." His words hung in the air, thick and heavy, shrouded in an intensity that left her breathless. She felt the walls of her reality constricting around her, every breath fragile and uncertain. What chilling lesson was he preparing for her, wrapped in a facade of authority? "Let us take a little trip, shall we?" he said, extending his hand towards her, the moonlight casting elongated shadows behind him. The invitation sent icy fingers down her spine. A trip? Where? Panic surged again, this time forcing her limbs into action. She shifted slightly, her heart pounding wildly. And then she heard it, a distant sound, the unmistakable shriek of school bells echoing from the far-off building like warning sirens. Mr. Trent's eyes narrowed, and the moment stretched impossibly. "What do you think you're going to do?" His voice dropped low, a smirk playing at the corners of his mouth. "You're already in this deep. Running 1T change anything?" As she stared into his cold gaze, doubt clawed at her. Was it too late to escape? What awaited her outside her room, and would she have the chance to evade whatever horror he had in mind? Before she could answer, he stepped forward, his presence looming larger than life. "Time to learn, Lily," he said, as shadows closed in around them. And in the dim light, she felt that dreadful secret unfolding. Was this just the beginning of a new kind of education? The silence was suffocating, wrapping around her like a vice. Lily's heart raced, each beat echoing like a drum, drowning out every rational thought in her head as Mr. Trent took another step forward. The shadows twisted around him, darkening the room, amplifying the horror flickering in her chest. "Do you realize what's at stake, Lily?" His voice turned smooth, almost sing-song, but the undertone was menacing. "You think just saying sorry will fix everything? You're mistaken." With a swift motion, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small device that flickered with a red light. The sight of it sent a chill through her. What was that? A remote? That thought tangled with another dread. What was he planning? A sudden rush of adrenaline pushed her instincts into overdrive. This was no ordinary discipline, this was something darker, something that skirted the edges of madness. The hair on the back of her neck prickled as she imagined the cruel scenarios that could unfold. The darkness of her thoughts was only broken by the sharp, metallic taste of fear rising in her throat. "Tonight, you have the chance to experience the true meaning of accountability," Mr. Trent purred, his eyes sparkling with cruel delight. She opened her mouth to protest but nothing came out. The air felt thick, too heavy to draw a proper breath. Instead, she took a tentative step back, trying to reclaim her personal space. "Don't make this difficult," he said, his voice hushed now, dangerous. "You'd be surprised how easily I can make you regret your choices. The school doesn't just expel students, oh no, they can erase them entirely." Suddenly, the ground shook with a deep thud, and Lily instinctively looked toward the door. Outside, she could faintly hear the distant sounds, whispers, scurrying feet, the distant ringing from the serving halls. Someone outside had to know something. Help. It spilled out before she could think. The weight of her own desperation stung her cheeks in embarrassment. Someone, please. Mr. Trent moved with a terrifying swiftness, blocking her view of the door, the red light of his device illuminating his sneering face. That will not help you, Lily. No one is listening. No one is here to save you. You're alone. The truth of his words hung in the air, making her tremble. She felt isolated in the darkness, her fears laughing at her naivety. She had assumed that the teacher-student dynamic was built on trust, a veiled safety blanket to protect her. Now she understood it was a facade. His power over her was palpable, she could feel it like a weight pressing down on her chest. And what's waiting outside isn't any better than what I have planned, he continued, the cruel glimmer in his eyes sharpening. Remember, choices come with consequences, and tonight, I'm showing you how severe they can be. The air crackled around them, the tension thick and electric as he shifted closer, close enough that she could feel the chill radiating from him. In that moment, she understood this wasn't just about exams, it was about domination, about fear. Let us make this lesson unforgettable, he said, voice dripping with sadistic pleasure. Then, in a swift motion, he pressed a button on the device. Instantly, the room transformed, the walls flickered and pulsed like they were alive. As the colors twisted and turned, Lily felt herself being pulled into despair. What had he unleashed? What kind of nightmare was waiting for her in this terrifying landscape unfolding right before her eyes? And then, against the backdrop of that unholy scene, a shadow moved at the edge of her vision, a flicker of something or someone, and her heart raced anew. Stay close, Lily, Mr. Trent warned, his tone chilling. Or you might find out just how deep the darkness goes. But the shadows were swirling, and Lily knew then she had to figure a way out, or be consumed whole. Or was it already too late? The room warped around her, colors merging and fading like liquid nightmares. Laughter echoed, haunting and distorted, vibrating through the walls as if the very building was mocking her. She wanted to scream, but the sound trapped in her throat felt like a stone, heavy and unforgiving. Demar. Trent watched her, his smile widening as the shadows deepened, curling like tendrils hungry for her fear. Welcome to your lesson, he whispered. You wanted to know about consequences? Lily's pulse raced, a wild drumbeat clamoring for freedom. Her eyes darted around, searching the swirling scene for any weakness, any crack in the chaos that would allow her to escape. The darkness felt alive, crawling toward her like something sentient, hungry. A flicker caught her attention, a movement through the shadows. She squinted hard, heart pounding. There it seemed like a figure, barely visible. She choked on a breath, her instincts screaming that she wasn't alone. Do you see, Lily? Even the darkness has its allies, Mr. Trent chuckled, his eyes alight with malicious glee. They thrive on despair. And trust me, they're all too eager to taste yours. With a surge of determination, she forced her voice out. Who is there? The solidness in her tone shocked even her, a spark igniting through the thick dread. Someone who is just as lost as you, a voice called out, weak but resonant like glass breaking in a still room. The figure stepped closer, broader and oddly familiar. Matt? She could hardly believe it. Her classmate stood there, dark eyes wide with panic, fear marked on his handsome face. What are you doing here? I heard the commotion, he said, glancing nervously to Mr. Trent, who stood unwavering, a predator savoring the moment. I followed. I thought. You thought you could save me? She spat, recalling their last conversation, a trivial fight over test scores, but this wasn't trivial now. You need to go. This isn't safe. I'm not leaving you, Lily. His voice broke when he spoke, thick with anxiety. We have to find a way out together. Trent's laughter sliced through the tension like a jagged knife. How precious. Two little lambs huddling together for warmth in this frigid darkness. I can assure you, it's going to get much worse before it gets better. He pressed the device closer to his chest. The red light pulsed ominously, casting shadows that stretched and warped around them. "What's that thing?" Matt asked, his gaze fixed on the device like it was a serpent ready to strike. "Something that can turn your worst nightmares into reality," Trent answered, eyes glinting. "Are you ready for a taste, children?" Lily felt a chill creep up her spine. The shadows around them thickened, forming shapes that edged closer. She could feel their whispers, incoherent yet suffocating, scratching at her mind. "No. Don't," she started, eyes wide as she took a step toward Trent, her heart galloping in her chest. Maybe if she could distract him, if she could stall for time, they could find a way out, but before she could form another word, the room was flooded with darkness, swallowing Matt whole and leaving her alone, ensnared in a wretched grip of despair. "Lily," his voice reverberated, a haunting echo lost in the depths. "Matt." Her voice cracked, desperation clawing at her throat. Trent smirked, enjoying her panic, and flicked a switch on the device. The air quaked, vibrating through her bones, a cacophony of sounds building to a deathly crescendo. "Time to learn, Lily. You can't escape your choices. Not now, not ever." As horrifying shapes emerged from the shadows, tearing at her reality, an unyielding thought crashed through her frenzy: if she didn't find a way out, she might lose Matt forever. Could she really fight against the darkness entwined in Trent's grasp? And what if the nightmares awakened something within her that she couldn't control? The darkness pulsed with a malevolent energy, wrapping around Lily like a shroud. Panic clawed at her insides, roiling her stomach, and she cursed herself for letting fear take the reins. Matt's voice lingered in her ears, a fading echo now lost within the encroaching shadows. "She couldn't let him vanish, she wouldn't, Matt." She shouted again, the urgency in her voice ricocheting off the walls. Her heart hammered mercilessly, but she steeled herself, fists clenching at her sides. She took a step toward the pulsating darkness, trying to push against the weight of despair that pressed against her chest. "Demar." Trent's laughter pierced the quiet, dark and chilling. "You think calling for him will help? How amusing." His voice trailed off into a mocking giggle, a sound twisted into something almost animalistic. The shadows danced around him, and with each movement, they seemed to pulse and shift, mirroring her growing dread. "Stay away from him!" Lily screamed, a surge of adrenaline coursing through her veins as she rushed forward. The closer she came, the more the shadows writhed, seeming to reach for her. "What will you do? Fight me?" Trent retorted, amusement coloring his tone. He tightened his grip on the device, its red light flaring even brighter. "You'll only make it worse for yourself." As if summoned by his words, the dark forms began to emerge. Gnarled faces twisted into expressions of torment, eyes burning like embers glowering in the night. Lily's breath hitched, she could feel their icy breath on her skin. "Get back!" she shouted again. She charged forward, fueled by fear and desperation, grasping at the fraying threads of hope that clung to her like a lifeline. But as she neared Trent, the shadows thickened, closing in around her, an endless pool of despair. "Your courage is commendable, but futile," he sneered. With a quick flick of his wrist, the device emitted a high-pitched whine, making her head pound with a sudden, dizzying force. The walls of the room shimmered like boiling water, threatening to spill out into something horrific. Lily stumbled back, gripping her head, trying to shake off the encroaching fog. "I want to let you win. Not him." Such resolve for someone who doesn't even understand the game, Trent mocked, his voice a sinister lullaby. The shadows danced closer, and she felt their cold fingers brushing against her skin. As if drawn by desperation, her fight-or-flight instincts flared. She couldn't give in. With one final push against the overwhelming wave of darkness, she closed her eyes. "You want to teach me a lesson? Fine!" she yelled, her voice slicing through the chaos. "Let's see what I'm really made of." The shadows hesitated, drawing back slightly as if her words were a barrier, a flicker of light in the abyss. In that moment, she felt something awaken inside her. It was thrilling and terrifying, a volatile energy swirling just beneath the surface of her skin. "What are you doing?" Trent's voice lost its playful edge as he stepped back, eyes narrowing. "What did you just all show you?" she screamed, channeling every ounce of fear and fury into her words. A burst of raw power surged through her, a sensation that made her feel alive for the first time amid the darkness. The shadows wailed, tightening around her even more, as Trent's eyes widened with disbelief. Was she pushing back? The thought propelled her, and she screamed again, louder this time, "Leave us alone." With every ounce of her will, she concentrated on Matt, on their bond, reaching out for him. Visualizing his face, his determination washed over her like sunlight through a storm. The shadows recoiled as if stung, the dark whispers around her morphing into panicked shrieks. The echoes of Matt's voice mingled with hers, creating a cacophony that pierced the suffocating darkness, and just like that, the weight began to lift, but as the shadows shimmered and trembled, a sudden clarity shot through the chaos. What if this was only the beginning? What if the power within her was more than she could handle? Was she truly ready to face whatever darkness Trent unleashed next? As she felt the tide shift in her favor, Trent's glinting eyes matched her intensity, a new grin cracking over his lips. "You think you're winning? The real lesson has just begun." And with that, the shadows surged back, roaring for a taste of her newfound defiance. Lily's heart raced like a wild stallion, the pulse of the darkness wrapping tighter around her. Confidence surged through her, intertwining with the raw power she had unleashed, but it felt precarious, as if it might slip through her fingers like sand. Trent's manic laughter echoed in the tumult, pushing her forward. She concentrated harder, imagining Matt's face, his unwavering spirit grounding her. "I won't let you take him. Not now." The shadows slithered closer, but she focused, channeling her energy, summoning the flicker of hope that had ignited within her. "You cannot have him," she screamed, and her voice rang out shrill and defiant. The shadows screeched, recoiling as if they were physically wounded by her resolve. Trent's expression morphed from glee to frustration. He frantically manipulated the device in his hand, its crimson glow pulsating like a heartbeat of a maniac. "You're just a girl. You don't understand the depths of this power." But at that moment, Lily felt the connection expand, a bright thread of light reaching out across the void. She stepped forward, refusing to back down. "And you think I'm afraid? I felt fear, it made me stronger." To her astonishment, the shadows faltered further, hesitating like wolves at the edge of a forest, scared yet drawn by her strength. The room shifted, the air thickening with tension as if the world itself were holding its breath. "Stop!" Trent bellowed, anger radiating off him in waves. "You think you can control it? You're a fool." But something was starting to change. Waves of energy rippled around her, intertwining with the dark forms. She felt a surge of warmth wash over her, power blossoming like petals in spring after a harsh winter. Then, a searing pain shot through her head like a jagged bolt of lightning. The shadows, sensing her weakening grip, surged forward, a menacing tide threatening to drown her. Gasping, she staggered back, clutching her temples. "No, I will not let you break me." "Will you fight this, then?" Trent's eyes gleamed with a sickening glee, his words a taunt that echoed in her mind. "Let me show you your limits." As he turned the device toward her, a thick fog rolled in, wrapping around her thoughts like a noose. Voices whispered, dark and twisted, mixing with her heartbeat. An image of Matt flashed through her mind, and the dark claws reached out, threatening to trap her inside a horrifying void. "Matt!" She cried out again, shattered hope threading through her voice. "I need you." Seconds felt like hours as the air crackled with static energy. Yet beneath the chaos, she grasped onto that bright thread, the surge of love, the bond they shared. It flickered, like a candle about to go out, but she refused to let it dim. That heartbeat of clarity. Lily took a deep breath, feeling the power swirling fiercely within her. "You don't own this darkness," she declared, her voice emerging steady and unyielding. With one final push, she focused, her arms outstretched. Light exploded from her fingertips, golden and radiant, slicing through the shadows like a sword through smoke. The dark wails turned into a deafening shriek, and Trent reeled back, eyes wide with shock, but just as she thought she had momentarily triumphed, reality quaked beneath her feet, a chilling tremor rattling her core as the shadows recoiled and regrouped. The darkness thickened, coalescing into one monstrous figure, a dark silhouette that towered over her, an embodiment of despair. "Your fight has only just begun," Trent hissed, the malevolence in his tone sharper than a blade. "This is merely a distraction." Lily's resolve faltered for a heartbeat. What trickery was he preparing? She couldn't let her guard down. "Run, Lily!" A voice echoed in her mind, Matt's voice, strong yet distant. But before she could react, the darkness surged forward, preparing to engulf her completely. In that moment, doubt crept in, a venomous whisper. Was she truly strong enough to face this level of darkness? Did she really have what it took to save Matt and herself from the shadows, just as she braced herself for the onslaught? The ground beneath her erupted, a crack splitting through her reality. Suddenly, she was plunged into a different dimension of pure darkness. Would she find the courage to emerge from this unfathomable void, or would the shadows finally claim their prize? The darkness wrapped around Lily like a suffocating blanket, each breath becoming a struggle against the weight pressing down on her chest. Cold, heavy despair dripped from the shadowy atmosphere, and the silence swelled to an unbearable intensity. In this bleak emptiness, she felt utterly alone. "Matt, where are you?" Her voice barely echoed, swallowed by the void. Fear twisted in her gut, cold and snaking. Had she truly lost him? Suddenly, a whisper crept into her ear, barely audible but unmistakably familiar. "Lily," it was his voice, soft yet commanding. "Find the light." Her heart leaped at the sound but also ached with uncertainty. In the consuming darkness, panic surged as she tried to grasp the fading thread of hope. "How? I can't. There's nothing here." The whispers thickened, swirling around her like a tempest of doubt. She felt cold fingers tugging at her, threatening to pull her deeper into despair. But then she recalled the warmth of their shared moments, their laughter, the gentle brush of his fingers against her skin. Desperate to cling to those memories, she summoned every ounce of strength. "No!" she shouted, her voice breaking through the shadows. "You won't take me from him." Light flickered in the abyss, a pulse of warmth radiating from her heart. With every ounce of defiance, she envisioned that connection, stronger than anything Trent could unleash. The darkness screeched in protest, writhing like a wounded creature. With each thought of Matt, the light grew more vivid, illuminating her surroundings. At first, it was a dull glimmer, but soon it blazed, a lighthouse guiding her through the storm. "Matt! I'm coming!" The darkness quivered as she stepped forward, the light spilling from her like sunlight breaking through heavy clouds. Shadows recoiled, hissing and shrieking, unable to withstand her fierce resolve. But her triumph was short-lived. The monstrous figure Trent had summoned loomed larger, its form made of swirling shadows and despair. "You think you can defeat me with mere memories?" it roared, an ancient voice steeped in malice. "I am the void. I am the end." Lily's heart sank, but fury ignited within her. "No!" she screamed, brandishing her light like a weapon. "You are not my end." She charged forward, the light slicing through the darkness, illuminating the twisted, monstrous form. To her shock, it convulsed as if her brilliance was physically hurting it. "Stay back!" it howled, waves of blackness rolling off to obscure its shifting shape. Lily pressed on, her heart pounding in rhythm with the light. "You'll never control me." As her warmth enveloped her surroundings, she felt vibrations beneath her feet. The ground cracked open, fissures revealing a deeper abyss that whispered temptation, images of failure, loss, and hopelessness. "Embrace the darkness," it urged, seductive in its deceit. "No!" she cried, her voice trembling but resolute. "I choose to fight." Summoning every bit of courage, she held on to her memories of Matt, the thrill of their dreams together wrapping around her like armor. The shadows began to dissolve, the consuming dark fracturing beneath her feet. But it wasn't enough. The monstrous figure regrouped, and with a furious roar, it lunged toward her. This isn't over. You've only just begun to unravel your own darkness. The darkness swelled around her, threatening to pull her back as she teetered on the brink of oblivion. The ground beneath her quaked violently, the rift widening with a menacing force that in that moment, a thought struck her, a realization that sent a shiver down her spine. If this dark entity was a part of Trent's doing, then maybe, just maybe, there were ways to use its power against him. But the shadows surged, ready to snatch her away. Would she find the way to turn the tide, or would she be consumed by the darkness seeking to drown her? The ground beneath Lily trembled, loud cracks echoing into the oppressive silence. With each fracture, the shadows squirmed, darting away like terrified insects. Panic clawed at her insides as the thought of slipping into nothingness threatened to consume her. Focus! She whispered to herself, desperately trying to block out the cacophony of despair surrounding her. Every flinch of the dark entity reminded her of its monstrous grip. But then she recalled the whisper in her ear, the warmth that had sparked the light within her. Find the light. She forced herself to breathe, her chest tight with fear. Each inhale filled her with flickers of warmth, memories of laughter and joy stitching her resolve together. Matt's smile flashed in her mind, his playful grin, the way his eyes danced when he talked about their future. With a newfound purpose, she raised her hands, channeling all that energy, all that love into a concentrated beam of light. The shadows twisted and writhed uncontrollably, and she felt a sudden rush of power surging through her, as if the universe were aligning just for her. Enough! She shouted, her voice strong and unwavering, echoing defiantly around the infinite void. You don't own me. The monstrous figure faltered, its swirling shape momentarily losing some of its form. What is this? It screeched, a hint of uncertainty piercing its ancient roar. Seizing that vulnerability, Lily pressed forward, her light blazing brighter, a beacon of hope piercing the smothering darkness. You are nothing but a lie. Each word was a hammer strike against the walls of despair. With each step, the rift narrowed, pulling her closer to the light, pulling her closer to Matt. But the dark figure lashed out, sweeping down with tendrils of shadow, seeking to wrap her in its cold embrace once more. Lily leaped aside, narrowly avoiding contact, her heart racing. I want to let you take me. She screamed, realizing that maybe the darkness wasn't something to fight, but something to understand. If it had come from Trent, perhaps it could be controlled, redirected. As darkness lashed toward her again, she channeled her thoughts, her emotions into that beam of light, aiming it right at the creature's heart. I know you want to win. You think you thrive on fear and hopelessness. But I choose love. The light blasted forth, piercing the darkness directly. The figure howled, writhing as the truth of her words struck it like a blade. The shadows shrieked, dissipating, while the ground roared in response, fissures tightening and containing the abyss. Suddenly, silence enveloped her, a beautiful, fragile silence. The warmth of her light pushed back the blackness, she felt weightless, buoyant. Maybe it really was possible to turn Trent's darkness against him. She searched the bright space around her, yearning for a sign or a hint of Matt. And then, faintly, she heard it again, the whisper. Lily, her heart leaped. Matt! She cried, and the light around her pulsed. Where are you? But the pull of her heart was interrupted by tremors underfoot. The ground twisted, revealing a new darkness, deeper and colder, a shadow deeper than Trent's wrath, creeping beneath her feet. Lily, the whisper continued, but this time, it sounded distant, almost in despair. What now? Panic flashed inside her as the darkness began to seep into her light, threatening to merge two worlds, hers and Trent's, into one chaotic vortex. She was left grappling with an impossible choice: advance into the new darkness to find her heart, or retreat into comfort and safety, leaving Matt behind. The moment loomed heavy, and the darkness beckoned once again. Would she have the courage to face the unknown? Her heart raced as the shadows twisted, whispering promises of despair, threatening to swallow her whole. But what if the answer lay not in avoiding darkness but confronting it? With a resolute breath, Lily felt time stretch and tear around her. The shadows twisted, writhing like serpents desperate for a prey they could no longer bind. An instinct took root in her. Instead of retreating, she stepped forward, ready to embrace the unknown that lurked in the growing darkness. Matt! She called again, her voice trembling but infused with determination. The echo of her love bounced off the jagged edges of reality that threatened to swallow her whole. The ground beneath her buckled again, sending a violent shudder through her body. It felt as if the very earth was alive, contorting with a pain born of loss and despair. Yet, instead of intimidation, a fierce sense of purpose ignited within her. The shadows were growing bolder, but they were tethered, fueled by fear, not by strength. Suddenly, the whisper transformed, deepening into a haunting resonance that chilled her bones. Lily! It called her name, rippling through her like an ominous breeze, cloaked in echoes of sorrow. Just a little closer, a sinister voice rumbled from the depths. You'll see what love can truly mean in the dark. Against her will, memories flashed in her mind, moments of pain from the heartbreak of Trent's betrayal. The darkness was clever, wrapping itself around her insecurities, thrusting forward the bittersweet moments that had once brought her joy, only to be discarded. Enough! She screamed, flooding her heart with the warmth of each cherished memory. Matt teaching her to ride a bike, his laughter at the beach, the way they danced under the stars. Each vision surged through her veins like molten lava, igniting her light again. She let it spill from her heart, weaving a gleaming tapestry across the void. You're wrong. I'm not afraid of what you bring. With every pulse of light, the shadows recoiled, hissing like angry vipers. It was working, she could feel it. But what was lurking just beyond the edge of her clarity? The whispers twisted, contorting into a jarring crescendo as the darkness sensed its impending defeat. Lily, the voice was different now, cold and haunting. It seeped into her bones, carrying an effect like a heavy fog that stung her eyes. You'll never reunite with him, not in this realm or the next. The ground trembled violently, the fissures becoming wider, revealing a deeper darkness below. Lily teetered, fear creeping back into her heart. She was losing balance, she felt as if she were dangling over a violent abyss. Desperation clawed at her throat. I can't, I want tea. With a guttural roar, the shadow lunged, hungry and vicious. The space around her compressed, suffocating her with despair. Just as the tendrils reached out, she closed her eyes and channeled all of her love, every bit of faith she had to protect what mattered most. When she opened them, a blinding flash erupted, pushing back the dark tide. The shadows screamed, momentarily stunned as light wrapped around her, creating an ethereal shield. It felt miraculous, as if she were the sun, radiant and unstoppable. Yet, just then, a glint of red caught her eye, a small, twisted piece of darkness hiding beneath her radiant glow. It pulsed, almost alive, and she realized it looked eerily familiar. Lily, it was Trent's voice, warping her name, growing closer, the malevolence crawling along the fabric of the light she had woven. What had she unleashed? Was this the darkness she had sought to confront, or had she accidentally provoked Trent's true hatred, now fully unleashed? As shadows began to close in again, she felt an urgency within her. The light could fight, but how much longer could it last without her faith? Matt! She screamed again, searching for her heart amid the chaos. But the darkness roared, drowning her call in whispers of despair. Was confrontation truly the answer, or had she merely awakened a stronger foe? In that moment, uncertainty coiled around her heart as shadows pressed in, thick and suffocating. Could she embrace the darkness without becoming part of it? With the abyss at her feet, creeping closer, she prepared herself for the battle that lay ahead. Would the truth of love guide her through, or would she find herself lost in the darkness forever? Lily's pulse echoed like a siren in the silence, the chill of the darkness swirling around her. But as the pulse intensified, something inside her shifted. She felt the connection she had fought to preserve, a bond with Matt that pulsed like embers in her chest. Reinforced by memories both joyful and painful, that flicker grew into a flame within her. The shadows twisted closer, but Lily was resolved. "You don't own me," she shouted, her voice echoing through the abyss. "You can't have my light." The dark entity hesitated, confusion flickering across its monstrous face. "Light?" it screeched, mirth twisted into snarls. "Do you know what you face? This is only the beginning." Yet, doubt rippled through its features as her determination shone like a beacon, causing the shadows to writhe in unease. "Is that what you think? You think fear holds power?" She pressed, her heart surging. Embracing the glow pulsing from her memories, she envisioned Matt standing beside her. His strength was a shield against the encroaching darkness. "I choose love," she declared, defiantly holding her ground. With each utterance, the shadows fractured, light forging a path that warmed her skin. The heaviness of despair receded slightly, and she felt a beautiful momentum unfurling. She sprinted forward, facing the dark entity head-on, light bursting from her fingertips like dazzling fireworks against the night sky. "This time, you will learn what true love and courage mean." The shadow let out a keening wail, a tortured response that sent shivers through the air. It charged forward, its dark tendrils snapping like vipers, but Lily focused harder, remembering every precious moment she shared with Matt, every laugh, every secret. Suddenly, the entity lurched, shadows ripping apart as her energy impacted. "No. You don't have the strength," it screamed, surging at her with a menacing howl. But Lily pushed back, bolstered by conviction, and the light erupted around her, crackling like static. She felt a sudden rush, a connection to everything. "You thrive on pain and fear," she shouted over its piercing cries. "You think darkness makes you strong. But you're wrong." With a roar, she harnessed her light, bellowing one last time, "I choose love. I choose life." A sudden shockwave rippled through the air, and with that declaration, the darkness exploded, splintering into shards that scattered like dust in the wind. The shadow's sprawling form twisted and shivered, unable to withstand the force of illuminated hope. In a brilliant burst of energy, the darkness imploded, unraveling into nothingness. Silence filled the void, and for the first time in what felt like eternity, she could breathe freely, the weight lifting from her chest. "Matt!" she cried, the name bursting forth like a release of pent-up pressure. And just like that, she felt a presence next to her, the bright warmth and steady strength she had missed so dearly. "Lily!" His voice wrapped around her, pulling her back from the brink. Their eyes locked, and she felt the grounding pull of reality surge between them. "I thought I lost you." A tether, woven from their defiance against the darkness, sparked between them. They leaned into one another, relief flooding their senses as the shadows faded, leaving only paths of light behind. "What just happened?" he gasped, catching his breath. "I don't entirely know, but I learned that I have to embrace the light, no matter what," she replied, her heart still racing. "Together, we are stronger than any fear." He smiled, the relief washing over him like a wave. "Let us keep it that way." As they stood together, surrounded by beams of flickering light, the sensation of safety enveloped them. The shadows that had once threatened to consume them were now powerless remnants of the past. They could finally move forward. Together, they whispered in unison, and with one last glance behind them, they stepped through the barrier of energy, emerging into a new dawn. The light trickled through the remnants of their battle, illuminating the horizon, guiding them toward the possibility of a fresh start. They took a breath, the world opened before them, clear skies and endless chances. The battle had ended, but their journey was just beginning, and as they walked away from the shadows, Lily felt that, no matter the darkness ahead, together they could endure anything. You need to subscribe now to never miss the next exclusive story that could change everything. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and let your voice be heard. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this incredible conclusion. Your thoughts matter. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this emphatic finale. Your support makes all the difference. You're part of this journey,